Hey, welcome back to another Sermon Extra. It is so nice to see you. You are looking great, by the way. Hope you're doing well. We're going to continue talking about this spiritual battle. Of course, on Sundays, we've been talking about becoming spiritually ready for the attacks that'll come against us, against our great enemy, Satan, and then putting on this spiritual armor. And on Sunday, we talked about, of course, the importance of protecting our heart against the enemy's attacks. Now, Paul, of course, would write that section of Ephesians of the spiritual armor. I want to show you or point you to another couple of verses that he writes in Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12. In there, I think he will again give us a great defense for really guarding our heart. He's going to talk about this idea of having joy, or as he will put it, being content. Because listen, if Satan is unable to steal or kill or destroy the joy that we have in our life, well, then he really has nothing. We learn that at different parts through Scripture. For example, you can go back to Genesis, about Genesis 20. There's Abraham and Isaac is about to be stripped away from him. And Abraham is faced with this question: if he loses everything, his most prized possession, and has nothing left but just God, is that enough? You fast forward, you go to the book of Job, wow, which is such a tragic tale. And of course, Satan is sort of unleashed to launch these spiritual attacks on him. And everything is stripped away from Job. We're talking family, his possessions, his health. And all he has left then is God. The question there for him, as he sort of is pictured in the dust, is that enough? And now listen to what Paul says in Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12, as he talks about contentment. There's some powerful words. He says, I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little. Now, if there is anyone who can talk about living and going through any sort of situation or maybe hardship, I mean, it has got to be Paul. That dude faced some incredible things in his life. We read through some of his letters in the book of Acts of many of those hardships, going through shipwrecks, several of them. He endured beatings, he endured whippings. He was stoned at one point and was miraculously able to walk away. He endured all sorts of persecution. I mean, he endured all kinds of situations. And here he says that he can be content, or put another way, find joy even in the worst of circumstances. Now, that's pretty important for us in a time like this, when many of us may feel like a lot of things have been stripped away from us, a lot of important things. And even now, when so much has maybe been stripped, well, we can find something to be grateful for. And here's what Paul's secret is. He would go on in verse 13, and he would say, for I can do everything through Christ, who gives me strength. See, Paul's saying that everything else could be stripped away from him in his life, and he would still have incredible contentment. He would still find incredible joy in having nothing left but his relationship with Jesus. It is again that question that continually will come up in Scripture. Is that enough? And if we would really lean in and press into our relationship with God, and we would be able to get to that point where we would say, God, you are it. You are what I'm going to anchor my hope and my contentment to. God, you are enough. Well, then Satan will never be able to do enough to steal joy, to make us discontent. God is always enough. Hey, rest and lean into that relationship with God and let Paul's words encourage you today. We hope to see you Sunday. We're going to continue this series in being spiritually battle ready as we continue to talk about the armor, and we'll continue to learn even more about standing our ground in our faith. So, hope to see you then.